Lieutenant Jai-1 Park stood at attention as the transport ship docked with a massive Galactic Alliance flagship, the Celestial Harmony *. Her heart beat fast, but her face showed nothing. This was the chance she had worked for her whole life. "Remember your place here, human," said the blue-skinned Vesperi officer beside her. "You are only here because of politics." Jai-1 nodded but said nothing. She was used to this. Humans were new to the Galactic Alliance. The other species thought humans were weak and simple. They only let Earth join 5 years ago because humans had resources they wanted. The doors opened with a hiss. Jai-1 picked up her small bag and followed the Vesperi down the bright white corridor. Alien crew members stopped to stare at her. Some whispered. Others made clicking sounds that their translation devices didn't bother to convert. "Engineering deck," the Vesperi told the lift. As they dropped down 20 levels, he said, "You will report to Commander Sorn. He runs engineering. Do exactly as he says." The lift doors opened to a huge room filled with glowing machines and busy workers from at least 6 different species. No humans. The Vesperi pointed to a tall, gray-skinned alien with 4 arms working at a central console. "That is Commander Sorn. Good luck." He left without another word. Jai-1 took a deep breath and walked forward. The floor hummed with the ship's massive engines. The air smelled like metal and something sweet she couldn't name. "Commander Sorn, Lieutenant Jai-1 Park reporting for duty." "Sir." Sorn turned slowly. His yellow eyes looked down at her from his 8-foot height. "Ah, the human." He said the word like it tasted bad. "I was told I had to accept you. I did not agree to it. I finished top of my class at Earth Space Academy. Sir, my specialty is—" "Your specialty," Sorn cut her off, "means nothing here. Your Earth technology is children's toys compared to ours." He pointed to a small workstation in the corner. "You will monitor the waste recycling systems. Try not to break anything." Several nearby aliens laughed. Jai-1's cheeks burned, but she kept her face calm as she walked to the small desk. The screen showed simple diagrams of the ship's waste management system. It was a job for a first-year cadet, not a lieutenant. She had been working for an hour when someone came to her station. She looked up to see another human, the first she'd seen since boarding. "You must be Lieutenant Park," the man said with a kind smile. "I'm Chief Engineer Da-hyun Kim." Jai-1 stood quickly. "Sir, I didn't know there was another human in engineering." "Just one. Me." Da-hyun looked around and lowered his voice. "It's not easy being human here. They think we're stupid because our brains are too simple. They think we're weak because we don't have extra limbs or natural armor." "But we're not," Jai-1 said firmly. "No, we're not." Da-hyun smiled. "I checked your file. Quantum engineering, gravitational theory, and advanced propulsion systems. Very impressive." "Thank you, sir, but Commander Sorn has me monitoring waste recycling." Da-hyun nodded. "Sorn is difficult. He doesn't believe humans belong on this ship, or in the Alliance at all." He tapped her screen. "Do your job well, even this one. I'll try to get you better assignments." "I appreciate that, sir." After Da-hyun left, Jai-1 turned back to her station. Through the large viewport across the room, she could see stars streaking by as the massive ship traveled faster than light. Somewhere out there was Earth, so far away now. She thought of her family who had been so proud when she was chosen for this assignment. She thought of her instructors who had warned her it would be hard. "They think I'm powerless," she whispered to herself as she turned back to her work. "I'll show them how wrong they are." 2 weeks passed. Jai-1 did her job well, but she was bored. Watching waste recycling systems was not why she had trained so hard at the academy. "Lieutenant Park," Commander Sorn's voice came through her comm. "Report to Sub-Level 12, Section F. There is a blocked pipe that needs fixing." Jai-1 sighed. Another dirty job no one else wanted. "Yes, Commander. On my way." She took the service lift down to sub-level 12. This part of the ship was old and rarely used. The lights were dim. The air felt cold and damp. "Section F," she muttered, following the signs. Her footsteps echoed in the empty corridor. The blocked pipe was exactly what she expected, a simple problem any maintenance bot could fix. She knelt down and opened her toolkit. "Giving me this job is just a waste of time," she said to herself as she worked. "But I'll do it better than anyone else could." As she finished, something caught her eye. Behind the pipe was a small panel that looked different from the others. The metal had a strange color. The design was not like the rest of the ship. Jai-1 touched it. The panel slid open, revealing a dark space behind it. "That's odd." She shined her light inside. There, embedded in the wall, was a device unlike anything she had seen before. It was round and about the size of her hand. Strange symbols covered its surface. It seemed to be made of a dark metal that absorbed her light instead of reflecting it. Jai-1 scanned it with her tool. The readings made no sense. According to her scanner, the device was both there and not there at the same time. "This can't be right." She tried again. Same result. She carefully took pictures and recorded all the data she could. Then she closed the panel and finished her work on the pipe. Back in engineering, Jai-1 approached Commander Sorn. "Commander, I found something strange on sub-level 12. It looks like some kind of unknown device embedded in the wall." Sorn barely looked at her. "If it was important, we would know about it." "But sir, it's giving off unusual readings, I think." "Lieutenant," Sorn's voice was sharp, "do you think you know more about this ship than those who built it? Than those who have served on it for decades? Your species has barely learned to lead your own planet." The other engineers were watching now. Jai-1 felt her face grow hot. "I'm simply reporting what I found, sir," she said quietly. "Return to your station. Do not waste my time with your human ignorance again." That night in her small quarters, Jai-1 couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the strange device. She got up and looked at the pictures she had taken. "I know I'm right," she whispered. "There's something special about this device." The next day, she saw Da-hyun in the mess hall. She sat across from him and showed him the pictures. "I found this yesterday," she said. "Sorn wouldn't listen to me." Da-hyun studied the images with interest. "I've never seen anything like this. These symbols aren't from any species in the Alliance." My scanner couldn't make sense of it either. Da-hyun looked around to make sure no one was listening. "I can get you access to better equipment. We can study this together during off hours." "Really? You believe me?" "G1, I've been on this ship for 3 years. I've learned that the superior species often miss things. They're so sure they know everything that they stop looking." He smiled. "Meet me at Lab 7 after your shift. It's usually empty then." For the first time since coming aboard, Jet-1 felt excited. She wasn't just monitoring waste systems anymore. She had found something important, something no one else had noticed. "I'll be there," she promised. As she walked back to her station, she felt different, stronger. Whatever this device was, it was her discovery. And she would figure out what it was, no matter what Commander Sorn or anyone else thought of her human capabilities. For 2 weeks, Jet-1 and Da-hyun studied the strange device in secret. They ran tests in Lab 7 during night shifts when no one was around. The more they learned, the more confused they became. "It seems to respond to our presence," Da-hyun said one night. "Look at these readings. They change when we touch it." Jai-1 nodded, "But only when we touch it, not when the probes touch it." They were interrupted by a ship-wide announcement. "All crew to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, all crew to emergency stations." They hurried back to engineering. The room was in chaos. Alarms blared. Officers shouted orders. Through the viewport, Jai-1 saw something that made her heart stop. A massive star with swirling gases, pulling the ship toward it. "What's happening?" she asked a passing tech. "We've hit some kind of gravity anomaly," the tech said. "The navigation system failed. We're being pulled toward a collapsing star." Commander Soren stood at the main console, giving orders to his team. "Reroute power to the engines. Maximum thrust away from the star." Jai-1 went to her station. The waste systems were the least of anyone's concerns now, but she needed to monitor them anyway. If the pipes burst under the strain, it would make a bad situation worse. The ship shuddered. The lights flickered. Jai-1 grabbed her console to stay upright. "Report," Commander Soren shouted. "Engines at maximum power," someone called. "No effect. Shields failing on decks 7 through 12. Hull integrity at 82% and dropping." Jai-1 checked her console. The waste systems were holding for now, but something else caught her eye. A power fluctuation in sublevel 12, Section F, where she had found the device. The ship's comm system activated. Captain Hajun Choi's voice filled the room. "This is the captain. The Celestial Harmony is transporting delegates from 27 worlds to the Alliance Summit. Their safety is our top priority. All departments, report status." One by one, the department heads reported bad news. Life support was failing. Engines couldn't break free. Shields were weakening. "We have 4 hours before hull breach becomes inevitable," the science officer concluded. The artificial gravity suddenly failed. Jai-1 floated up from her seat, along with everyone else in engineering. Tools and datapads flew in all directions. Then, just as suddenly, gravity returned, much stronger than normal. Everyone crashed to the floor. Jai-1 hit her head on the console as she fell. Pain shot through her skull. She touched her forehead and felt blood. "What was that?" Someone shouted. "The gravity generators are malfunctioning," Commander Soren said. "The anomaly is affecting our systems." Gravity fluctuated again. Lighter this time, but still not normal. Jai-1 managed to stand, holding onto her console for support. Across the room, she saw aliens arguing. An Aldarian officer was shouting at a Vesperi. "Your navigation systems failed us. This is your fault." "Our systems are perfect," the Vesperi shouted back. "It was your power distribution that failed first." Commander Soren stepped between them. "Enough. Back to your stations." Jai-1 looked at her console again. The power fluctuation in sublevel 12 was growing stronger. The device was reacting to the crisis. She glanced around the chaotic room. No one was watching her. Everyone was too busy trying to save the ship using the usual methods that clearly weren't working. Making a decision, Jai-1 slipped away from her station and headed for the door. She had to check on the device. Something told her it was important, maybe even the key to their survival. As she reached the door, Da-hyun caught her arm. "Where are you going?" "The device is doing something," she whispered. "I need to see what." Da-hyun looked worried, but he nodded. "Be careful. And keep your comm open. I'll cover for you here." Jai-1 stepped into the corridor as the ship shuddered again. Time was running out. Jai-1 moved through the corridors as fast as she could. The ship rocked violently. Crew members ran in all directions. No one paid attention to her. The lift was too dangerous to use now. She found an emergency ladder and climbed down to sublevel 12. The lights flickered here, sometimes leaving her in complete darkness. When she reached Section F, she saw something amazing. The wall around the hidden panel was glowing with a soft blue light. "I knew it," she whispered. She opened the panel. The device was floating slightly off the wall now. The strange symbols on it glowed the same blue color. When she reached toward it, the device pulsed brighter. Jai-1 didn't touch it. Instead, she took out her scanner and recorded everything. The readings were even stranger than before. The device seemed to be absorbing the gravitational forces around it. Suddenly, she remembered something from her studies at Earth Space Academy. Professor Lee had taught a class on theoretical technologies. He had talked about an ancient theory, a way to control gravity itself. The gravity fold theory, Jai-1 said out loud. This device, could it be a prototype? The ship shuddered again. Ji-1 was thrown against the wall. Her scanner fell and slid across the floor. She picked it up quickly and checked the data. I need to talk to the captain, she decided. Getting back to the upper decks was hard. Twice the gravity shifted, leaving her floating helplessly before slamming her down again. By the time she reached the command deck, her uniform was torn, and she had cuts on her hands and face. The bridge was in as much chaos as engineering. Captain Hejun Choi stood at the center, giving orders in a calm voice. But Jai-1 could see the worry in his eyes. "Captain," she said, approaching him. "I need to speak with you." "Lieutenant Park, why aren't you at your station?" the captain asked. Before she could answer, Commander Sorn appeared beside them. This human abandoned her post during a crisis. She should be disciplined immediately. "I found something that might help us," Jai-1 said, ignoring Sorn. "There's a device on sub-level 12 that's responding to the gravitational anomaly." She showed the captain her scanner data. "I believe it's a gravitational manipulation system. At the Academy, we studied the gravity fold theory. This device matches the descriptions in those old texts." Captain Choi looked interested, but Commander Sorn laughed. "Captain, you can't be taking this seriously," he said. "Humans barely understand basic physics. The gravity fold theory is just a myth. No working prototype has ever been found." "Then what is this?" Jai-1 asked, pointing to her scanner. "The device is absorbing the gravitational forces. If we could amplify that effect, we might be able to create a counterforce to the star's pull." The ship rocked again. An officer called out, "Hull integrity at 67%, Captain. Estimated time to breach, 3 hours and 20 minutes. Captain Choi looked from Jai-1 to Commander Sorn and back again. He was clearly torn. "Commander, are your teams making any progress?" he asked. Sorn hesitated. "We are exploring all options, Captain." "Which means no," Jai-1 said boldly. "Your conventional methods aren't working. We need to try something new." "The human doesn't know what she's talking about," Sorn insisted. "The device she found is probably just an old sensor or waste component." Captain Choi raised his hand to silence them both. "Our situation is desperate. I can't afford to ignore any possibility." He turned to Jai-1. "Lieutenant, you have 12 hours to develop your theory." "But Captain," Sorn began. "Meanwhile," the captain continued, "Commander Sorn, your teams will continue their efforts. Whoever finds a solution first will implement it." Jai-1 nodded. "Thank you, Captain." As she left the bridge, she heard Sorn say, "This is a waste of precious time." She didn't care. She had her chance now. Walking quickly to find Da-hyun, she felt a new determination. The fate of the ship, and everyone on board, might depend on understanding that strange device. And she was the only one who could do it. Ji-1 and Da-hyun worked in Lab 7, surrounded by equipment they had gathered from all over the ship. The device from sub-level 12 sat in the center of a testing chamber they had built. It continued to glow blue, pulsing gently. "If I'm right," Jai-1 said, "this device was created to control gravity. But it's too small to affect the whole ship." Da-hyun nodded. "We need to connect it to the ship's power systems, amplify its effect." They had been working for 6 hours straight. Ji-1 hadn't slept in over 20 hours, but she wasn't tired. Her mind was clear and focused. "The ship's computer doesn't recognize the material this device is made from," Da-hyun said, looking at his screen. "That's because it's not in the Alliance database," Jai-1 replied. "I think this technology is older than the Alliance itself." The door to Lab 7 opened. 3 alien engineers entered, a tall Vesperi and 2 Aldarians. They looked at the humans with doubt in their eyes. "We were sent to assist you," the Vesperi said. His tone made it clear he didn't think they needed assistance. "Captain's orders, One of the Aldarians added, though we don't see how you could understand gravitational physics better than we do. Jai-1 took a deep breath. She didn't have time for their doubts. Fine. You can help us build an interface between this device and the ship's power grid. The aliens looked at the device and then at each other. What is that thing? The Vesperi asked. It's a gravitational manipulation system, Jai-1 explained. We need to connect it to. Impossible, the second Aldarian interrupted. Humans don't have the neural capacity to understand such complex systems. You must be confused about what you found. Da-hyun stepped forward. We don't have time for this. The ship is being pulled into a collapsing star. In less than 6 hours, the hull will breach. So either help us or get out of our way. The alien seemed shocked by his direct words. After a moment, the Vesperi said, we will observe your work and correct your errors. Fine, Jai-1 said. She turned back to her calculations. For the next few hours, they worked on connecting the device to the ship's systems. The aliens watched and occasionally offered suggestions, most of which Jai-1 politely ignored. They didn't understand what they were looking at. The ship shuddered more violently now. Each time, the lights dimmed and equipment crashed to the floor. During one particularly bad shake, Jai-1 hit her head against a console. Blood trickled down her face, but she wiped it away and kept working. You should go to medical, Da-hyun said, concerned. No time, she replied. We're close. The ship's comm system activated. All personnel report. Hull integrity at 54%. Shields failing on multiple decks. Estimated time to breach. 4 hours and 12 minutes. We need to work faster, Jai-1 said. The lab door opened again. This time, Commander Sorn entered. He looked at their work with clear disapproval. The captain wants a progress report, he said coldly. Jai-1 straightened up. We've identified the device as a gravitational manipulation system. We're building an interface to connect it to the ship's power grid. When activated, it should create a counterforce to the star's pull. Should, Sorn said. You want to risk our last hours on something that should work. My team's conventional methods aren't working either, Da-hyun pointed out. We need to try this. Sorn looked at the device, then at the interface they were building. This primitive setup will never work. Your human minds simply can't grasp the complexities of. Commander, Jai-1 interrupted, her patience gone. With all due respect, we don't have time for your prejudice. This will work. Now please, let us finish. Sorn's yellow eyes narrowed. Without another word, he turned and left the lab. He's going to be a problem, Da-hyun said quietly. Jai-1 nodded. But we can't worry about that now. We have less than 4 hours to save this ship. She looked at the glowing device. It was their only hope. 3 more hours passed. Ji-1 and Da-hyun had finished building the interface. The device was now connected to a power relay that linked to the ship's main systems. We need to test it before full implementation, Jai-1 said. She looked tired but determined. Da-hyun nodded. I'll go check the power connections one more time. Jai-1 watched the device. The blue glow had grown stronger since they connected it to the ship's power. The strange symbol seemed to shift and change as she watched. The ship rocked violently. Ji-1 grabbed the table to keep her balance. The lights went out for a few seconds before emergency power kicked in. All personnel report. The captain's voice came through the comm. Hull integrity at 42%. Estimated time to breach, 1 hour and 40 minutes. Jai-1 pressed a button on her console. Captain, this is Lieutenant Park. We're ready for a test run. Proceed with caution, Lieutenant, Captain Choi replied. Report any results immediately. Jai-1 began the startup sequence. The interface hummed to life. Power flowed into the device. The blue glow intensified. But then something strange happened. The interface sparked. Smoke rose from one of the connections. Warning lights flashed across her console. No, Jai-1 shut down the power immediately. Something's wrong. She checked the system. What she found made her blood run cold. Someone had changed the power configuration. If she had continued the startup, the device would have overloaded and exploded. Da-hyun, she called. Come look at this. No answer. Da-hyun. Jai-1 moved around the lab, looking for him. He wasn't there. The door opened. Jai-1 turned, expecting to see Da-hyun. Instead, a young Vesperi officer stood there. He held a tool in his hand. What are you doing here? Jai-1 asked. The Vesperi didn't answer. Instead, he moved quickly toward the device, raising the tool. Jai-1 realized what was happening. Stop, she shouted, lunging forward. She grabbed his arm just as he was about to strike the device. They struggled. The Vesperi was stronger than her, but Jai-1 was fighting for the lives of everyone on the ship. Why are you doing this? She demanded as they fought. Orders, the Vesperi hissed. Humans cannot be allowed to save the ship. It would change everything. With a sudden move, the Vesperi pushed Jai-1 hard. She fell back, hitting her head against the wall. Pain exploded in her skull. Her vision blurred. Through the haze, she saw the Vesperi raise his tool again. But before he could strike, the door opened. Da-hyun rushed in and tackled the Vesperi to the ground. Security to Lab 7. Da-hyun shouted into his comm as he struggled with the alien. Jai-1 forced herself to stand. Her head pounded with pain. She staggered to the console and pressed the emergency button. Captain Choi, she said, her voice weak. Someone sabotaged our work. They tried to destroy the device. Who? The captain demanded. A Vesperi officer, Jai-1 said, watching as security personnel entered and took control of the struggling alien. He said he had orders. Orders from whom? Jai-1 looked at the Vesperi. Tell us who sent you. The alien glared at her with hatred. Commander Sorn believes humans must know their place. Jai-1 wasn't surprised. She had seen the contempt in Sorn's eyes. But to sabotage their work when the ship was in danger, that went beyond prejudice. Captain, we need to speak in person, she said. And I need medical attention. Come to the bridge immediately, Captain Choi ordered. Security will escort you. Jai-1 looked at the damaged interface. Hours of work ruined. And they had less than 2 hours before the hull breached. We can fix this, Da-hyun said, reading her thoughts. We have to. Jai-1 nodded, wincing at the pain in her head. Yes, we have to. No matter what Sorn and others thought of humans, she would not let this ship be destroyed. She would prove them all wrong. On the bridge, Captain Choi listened to Jai-1's report. His face grew dark with anger when she told him about the sabotage. Where is Commander Sorn now? He asked a security officer. In engineering, Captain, the officer replied. Have him confined to quarters immediately, the captain ordered. Under guard. A medic treated the wound on Jai-1's head. It wasn't as bad as it felt, but she would have a nasty bruise. How much time do we need to repair the interface? Captain Choi asked. Jai-1 looked at Da-hyun. An hour, maybe less if we have help. You have all the help you need, the captain said. He turned to his crew. I want our best engineers assisting Lieutenants Park and Kim. This is now our primary mission. The ship rocked violently. Through the bridge viewport, Jai-1 could see the collapsing star. It looked closer now, its swirling gases reaching toward them like hungry fingers. Hull integrity at 38%, an officer reported. Estimated time to breach, 1 hour and 15 minutes. We need to hurry, Jai-1 said. Back in Lab 7, Jai-1 was surprised to see a team of engineers already working. They weren't just humans. There were Aldarians, Vespari, and other species too. Captain's orders, explained a tall Aldarian engineer. We're here to help. With many hands, the work went quickly. Jai-1 directed the repairs, making sure every connection was perfect. This time, armed security guards stood at the door. No one would sabotage their work again. Ready for power-up, Da-hyun announced after 50 minutes of intense work. Jae-won checked everything one last time. The device glowed blue, the symbols shifting faster now. The interface hummed with energy. "Captain, we're ready," she reported through the comm. "Proceed, Lieutenant," Captain Choi replied. "All sections, brace for possible power fluctuations." Jae-won took a deep breath. "Here we go." She started the power sequence. Energy flowed from the ship's main reactor into the interface, and then into the device. The blue glow grew brighter, almost blinding. For a moment, nothing else happened. The engineers looked at each other nervously. "Is it working?" someone asked. Jae-won checked her readings. "The device is accepting power, but it's not." Suddenly, the ship stopped shaking. The constant vibration that had become normal over the past hours ceased. Everyone froze, waiting. "Bridge to Lab 7, Captain Choi's voice came through the comm. "What just happened?" "I'm not sure," Jae-won admitted. "The device is active, but—" The door slid open. Commander Sorn burst in, followed by security officers trying to stop him. "I escaped my guards," he said, his yellow eyes wild with anger. "I won't let a human save this ship." He lunged toward the device, but stopped suddenly. His body froze in midair, as if held by an invisible force. Jae-won stared in amazement. The device was glowing even brighter now. A field of blue energy surrounded it, extending outward. It had stopped Sorn in his tracks. "It's creating the localized gravity field," she realized. "It's working." "Bridge to all sections," Captain Choi announced. "The pull from the star is decreasing. Hull integrity holding at 38%. The engineers cheered. Jae-won adjusted the power input, increasing it gradually. The blue field grew larger, extending throughout the lab and beyond. "We need to connect it to the main gravity controls," she said. "Da-hyun, help me." Together, they modified the interface, linking the device directly to the ship's gravitational systems. As they worked, Jae-won noticed something strange. The symbols on the device seemed to respond to her touch in a way they didn't for others. "Captain," she reported, "we're linking to main gravity controls now. Stand by." With a final adjustment, Jae-won completed the connection. The ship hummed with new energy. Through the small viewport in the lab, she could see the collapsing star starting to recede. "It's working," Da-hyun shouted. "We're pulling away." The blue field now extended throughout the ship, creating a counterforce to the star's deadly pull. They were going to survive. And it was all because of a human who refused to accept that she was powerless. The mood on the celestial harmony changed completely. Just hours ago, everyone had been preparing to die. Now the ship was safely moving away from the collapsing star. The danger was over. Jae-won sat in the ship's medical bay. A doctor treated her injuries while Captain Choi and several delegates from different worlds stood nearby. They all wanted to hear about the device that had saved them. "We're analyzing the data from the device now," Da-hyun reported, looking at his datapad. "It's unlike anything in Alliance records." "But how did you know it would work?" asked an Eldarian delegate. "I recognized it from old Earth texts," Jae-won explained. "At the Academy, we studied ancient theories about gravity control. The device matched those descriptions." The ship's science officer, a tall blue-skinned alien, joined them. "I've been studying Lieutenant Park's research logs. What we found is remarkable." He displayed a hologram in the center of the room. It showed the device and streams of data. "This device responds specifically to human neural patterns," he explained. "When other species touched it, nothing happened. But when Lieutenants Park and Kim made contact, the hologram showed the device lighting up with blue energy. That's why we couldn't activate it before," the science officer continued. "We needed human brains." "But what is it? Where did it come from?" Captain Choi asked. The science officer looked uncomfortable. "According to our analysis, it's of human origin." The room went silent. Everyone stared at him in shock. "That's impossible," said a Vesperi delegate. "Humans only achieved spaceflight a few centuries ago. This ship is much older than that." "The device's age doesn't match the ship," the science officer said. "It's much older. According to our scans, it's approximately 15,000 years old." Jaiwan's eyes widened. 15,000 years. But human civilization wasn't capable of space travel then. "Apparently, some humans were," the science officer said. He displayed another hologram, this one showing ancient Earth. "We found data in the device. It contains records of an advanced human civilization that existed thousands of years ago." The delegates murmured in disbelief. "This civilization had technology far beyond what we have now," the science officer continued. "They could control gravity, bend spacetime, and travel between stars easily." "What happened to them?" Dahyun asked. "The records suggest a cosmic disaster, perhaps a gamma-ray burst or a nearby supernova. Most of the civilization was destroyed. The survivors lost their technology and had to start over. The knowledge was forgotten." Jaiwan thought about Earth's many ancient myths of advanced civilizations that fell. Atlantis, Lemuria, and others. Were they more than just stories? "The device was probably placed on this ship long ago by those ancient humans," the science officer said. "Perhaps as a safeguard or emergency tool. And it waited all this time for another human to find it," Captain Choi said, looking at Jaiwan with new respect. One of the Aldarian delegates stepped forward. "This changes everything we thought we knew about humans. If this information is true." "It is true," the science officer confirmed. "The evidence is in the device itself, and in how it saved our ship." Commander Sorn had been brought to the medical bay under guard. He stood in a corner, listening. His yellow eyes showed confusion and disbelief. "Impossible," he muttered. "Humans are primitive, new to the stars. They can't be." "We were wrong about them," the science officer said firmly. "The evidence is clear." Jaiwan looked at the hologram, showing the ancient human civilization. Ships that looked like silver birds, cities that floated in the sky, technology that seemed like magic. "We had all this once," she said quietly. "And we lost it." Dahyun put his hand on her shoulder. "But we found it again. Because of you." The delegates were all talking at once now, asking questions, demanding to see more evidence. The revelation about humans' true past was spreading throughout the ship. Everything was about to change. 3 weeks after the crisis, Jaiwan stood in a grand hall on the Galactic Alliance's home station. The room was packed with delegates from all member species. Captain Choi stood beside her, along with Dahyun and other crew members from the Celestial Harmony. The head of the Alliance Council, a tall Aldarian with silver skin, addressed the crowd. "We are here today to honor those who saved the Celestial Harmony and the 27 delegates on board. Their actions prevented what would have been a terrible tragedy." Jaiwan felt strange in her new formal uniform. Since returning to the station, everything had changed. People who once ignored her now wanted to talk to her. Species that had looked down on humans now treated them with respect, even curiosity. "Lieutenant G1 Park," the council head called. "Please step forward." Jaiwan walked to the center of the room. Her heart beat fast, but she kept her face calm. "For your courage, intelligence, and determination, the Alliance awards you its highest honor, the Star of Valor." The council head placed a silver medal around her neck. "You have also been promoted to the rank of commander, effective immediately." The crowd applauded. Jaiwan saw Dahyun smiling proudly. Furthermore, the council head continued, "The Alliance has approved the creation of a new research division dedicated to studying the ancient human technology discovered on the Celestial Harmony. Commander Park, you will lead this division." Jaiwan bowed her head. "Thank you. I am honored." As she returned to her place, she passed Commander Sorn. He was in civilian clothes now, stripped of his rank. He would soon face trial for sabotage and endangering the lives of the delegates. He didn't look at her. After the ceremony, Ji-won and Dae-hyun walked through the station's main promenade. Through the large windows, they could see ships coming and going. "How does it feel to be a commander?" Dae-hyun asked, smiling. "Strange," Ji-won admitted. "Everything has happened so fast." "You deserve it. You saved everyone on that ship." "We saved everyone," she corrected him. They stopped at a viewport. A ship was docking, sleek and silver, unlike the usual Alliance designs. "That's the first ship of the new human fleet," Dae-hyun said. "Did you hear? Earth has been granted 5 more seats on the Alliance Council. No species has ever received that many so quickly." Ji-won nodded. The discovery of humanity's ancient past had changed their position in the Alliance overnight. Species that had considered humans primitive now sought their partnership. The device from the celestial harmony was just the beginning. Research teams on Earth had already found more artifacts from the ancient civilization. "Commander Park," a voice called. Ji-won turned to see an Aldarian diplomat approaching. "The Aldarian High Council wishes to discuss a new technology exchange program with Earth. Would you be available to join the talks?" "Of course," Ji-won said. After the diplomat left, Dae-hyun laughed. "Remember when they wouldn't even let you fix anything more complicated than a waste recycling pipe?" Ji-won smiled. "That feels like a different life now." She looked at the stars through the viewport. Somewhere out there, the ancestors of modern humans had traveled between those stars, built amazing things, and then lost it all. But now, after thousands of years, humans were finding their way back. "What's next for your research division?" Dae-hyun asked. "I'm putting together a team," Ji-won replied. "The best minds from all species, not just humans. There's so much to learn." She touched the device from the celestial harmony, which now hung in a small container around her neck. It had been reduced to portable size but still glowed blue when she touched it. "The council asked me who I want as my second in command," she added, looking at Dae-hyun. "I told them I knew the perfect person." Dae-hyun's eyes widened. "Me? Really?" Ji-won nodded. "Who else would I want beside me on this journey?" As they walked away, Ji-won thought about how far she had come. From monitoring waste systems to leading a vital research division. From being dismissed and underestimated to being honored and respected. They had thought she was powerless. They had been wrong. And now, the entire galaxy knew it.